Hi. Hello. Hi. Can you guys all see each other clearly? Yeah. All right. So, oh, I'm so excited. Thank you both so much. I'm going to turn off the comments so we can see each other clearly. Give me a minute. Okay. I'm having a fangirl moment right for the two of you, Raven and Paris. So I guess, hi everyone, Raven saying, hi, Paris is saying. So first of all, how did you guys even get into this opportunity with the circle? Who wants to go first? You go first, Raven. Okay, I'll go first. Well, I'm still just amazed. I mean, the experience was so amazing being on the circle. So I've said, I've been a big fan of the show. I've watched since the first season. That was back in 2020, I think. Yeah, been watching since 2020. And first time seeing a reality show where I could see a deaf participant, right? There are other shows that you watch and you're like, how would that work if someone was deaf, for all the players, living in the same apartment, sharing bedrooms, etc. And so it just seemed overwhelming having a deaf cast member with an interpreter and the entire system, what that would look like. But watching The Circle for the first time, I was like, oh, this is the moment. This, where I'm sitting in my own apartment, looking at this screen, at this monitor, every time I watch TV or a movie or just a show, right? I'm engaged with the screen. I'm talking back to the screen. Oh, you should have done that. You should have done this. So watching The Circle, I felt like, oh, I do that as it is. And then what was it, after the second season, I thought, well, why not apply? Oh, wow, Melissa's saying. So I did, right? Wanting to see a deaf person on the show. I waited for a good amount of time. I was like, oh, I wish I had a deaf person on the show every season after I applied. And I realized, wait a minute, I'm deaf. I love the show. Why not me? Go ahead and apply. What's the worst that could happen is what I thought. And Melissa's saying, exactly. And I really don't like to live with regret or should haves or woulda, coulda, what if. I thought, just do it. So that, I sleep at night knowing I applied, I tried, but honestly, I didn't have high hopes. I tried not to, I should say. So went ahead, submitted the application, and within 5 days, somebody reached out to me. And so I had an interview for the show. Wow, that's amazing. Wow, what a dream coming true, right? Your dream came true. And then I'm assuming you recruited Paris as your interpreter. And she's saying, yes, exactly. So you guys were good friends before? Mm-hmm, we were. The two of us went to Gallaudet together. And I could see, we were talking about how did we meet? Where did we even start? Where was that first conversation? Honestly, I can't remember. But, at times you don't remember what a person says, but you remember how they make you feel. And you just know. We connected. It was almost an immediate bond. And Paris is saying spot on. Exactly right. Paris, you must have been stoked for this opportunity. Was that the case? Well, first of all, I want to say, just like Raven, big fan of the show. So my first time watching The Circle was Brazil. It wasn't the American Circle. So I'm watching the Brazilian Circle. I thought, oh, this is so cool. Then they brought to America, season 1, season 2. And I was just drawn in. Then Raven reached out to me and said, hey, I'm thinking about auditioning for The Circle. And I thought, okay, great, awesome. But I want you to be the interpreter. And I said, sure, I'm down. Immediately, I'm down. And Melissa's saying, of course. And then Paris, is saying we just have a natural just niche. We partied together. We have that connection, especially being at Gallaudet. So when we were finally there side by side, I remember being in Raven's apartment, not the Circle apartment, let me stipulate, my personal apartment. Raven saying, yes, the apartment here in Maryland. We look at each other, we're like, oh my God, this is happening. This is happening. This is happening. Yellow. Mm-hmm. And the rest, so to speak, is history. Wow, Melissa's saying. Out of curiosity, how long were you two stuck, so to speak, in the apartment filming The Circle? How long did that last? So we were there for a month. Mm-hmm. 1 month? Yeah, you were strictly to the apartment. You had to stay in the apartment the entire month. You couldn't go out. You couldn't do anything for a month. So honestly, it was still during COVID. So we all had to be very, very cautious. It was 2021, so still kind of the height of the pandemic. And we all had to ensure that we weren't around others that were coming in and out. But we as players, we could take breaks. We could go outside. And you could probably see too on the show, there are times where we were in the yoga room. Some players went to the gym. Some players went to the rooftop. So there were those opportunities where we could get some fresh air and then return to the apartment, get back into the game. But yeah, more than that, no, we weren't able to get out more than that. Did you guys have any contacts with the outside world during that time? Or was it very strict? You were basically quarantined without your phone, without internet access? Well, when we first got there, yeah, there was some family connection, but once the game started, no, we weren't able to have that outside connection, only for emergencies to notify them certain things. But we were able to talk to them, or we had people talking to them for us. But when we were in the game, we were in the game the entire time. We couldn't have any external distractions. Wow, what was that like? Melissa's asking. I mean, were you stir crazy? Or, I mean, for you two, you had each other, right? So it was very fortunate for your situation. You guys kept each other company. Do you think that was a big advantage as opposed to being alone the entire game? Yeah, I would say for me, yeah, because for things outside of the game, right, I could have conversations with Paris. We were able to dance. We were able to have conversation. I mean, we have a very sibling-like relationship. We got on each other's nerves, but we were able to prepare meals together. Hey, what do you want for dinner? We got to do that together. But then outside of the game, yeah, I was very grateful to have Paris there, because I know my other castmates didn't have that opportunity. They were alone in their apartments, except, of course, Xanthi and Brett. They had each other. Right, so to speak, Jennifer, quote unquote, exactly right. So for that aspect, I was very grateful to have Paris there. But still, for the game, I mean, I was playing alone. That was me. Those are my thoughts, my reactions. And that still felt kind of isolating at times, because I couldn't ask Paris, like, hey, what do you think? Was that the right choice? Should I do something else? I couldn't even ask him for his advice. That wasn't allowed. So in the game, it still felt overwhelming. And you felt that pressure. But outside of that, normal day-to-day things, it was nice to have Paris with me. Mm-hmm. And if you don't mind, I'd like to add, I think too, as an interpreter, my role was a little unique, right? We don't typically live with our clients, right? Exactly. So not only my friend, but I'm there to provide accessibility. So for me, it was something to adjust to, and I kept having to take off a hat and put on another hat, and it was happening very quickly. But at the same time, it felt very normal. Right. I knew my boundaries. I'm not there to provide advice, tips, or opinions, or any feedback for that matter. But at the same time, I was there as a human, right? So I would check in. Raven, how are you feeling? How you doing? He would, she's saying. Do you need a break, etc., that kind of things. I would do those check-ins. And I felt like I could show the humanity aspect to interpreting and to what we do as interpreters. That's beautiful. And Raven's cool. So yeah, cool as fuck. Exactly right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, look. So Raven, that was your strategy. That was how you wanted to go about the game. That was all you the entire time, right? And then I noticed the two of you guys had a name sign for certain castmates or players. I know you call them players, yeah. So like Marvin for the muscles, or I'm assuming for his muscles. Yes, that's right. How did you identify some of the others? How did you come up with name signs? Because you didn't even get to meet them in person. Was that just based on their online presence, essentially? Maybe their appearance or how they seemed, their personalities, etc. I'm sure that was really fun for the two of you. Yeah. So really, even at the beginning of the game, Paris and I were just spelling everyone's name, and I just got tired of it real quick. So I was like, and honestly, my finger spelling sucks anyways. So I try to avoid it like the plague. And I don't like to receive it in finger spelling. So anyhow, I already knew that going in. And I thought, well, I think I gave it a few days. It was probably after 3 days, I said, you know what, let's go ahead. I started to come up with some name signs. And I was able to look at their profiles to help with that. I looked at their profiles, their biopic, their personalities based on their bio, right? And based on conversations that we were having. And then again, yeah, Marvin, because of the muscles. I mean, you can see that on the show. He doesn't hide them, right? He never had a shirt on the entire show. Yeah, exactly. And he was very prideful. He was very proud of his work. So for me, I felt that that was a part of his personality. Didn't know him till we met later, that he was an engineer, chemist and engineer. So I didn't know that till much later, but again, based on the bio and what I saw from Marvin. For Chaz, this is how we signed his name because of his beard, his facial hair. Oh, right, Melissa's saying. Sam, because she was into makeup. So her name sign came from her love of makeup, cosmetology. And then Oliver, because his hair was gray, and he had the ponytail there. So that was Oliver. I'm thinking who else? I think for Brittany or Brian, the curly hair. And then Bruno, his name I'm trying to think of somebody else that was based on, thank you, Tom, that was based on their hair in the profile pic. And then Ani Jen, so Ani Jennifer, because at the time it just felt like Ani Jen. So it felt very appropriate to have her name right there where you would sign on. And then some of the others didn't have name signs, honestly, because they were catfish in the game. Or, even the catfish had a name sign, but they, as themselves, didn't have a name sign, so I didn't know who they were behind the catfish. I'm trying to think. I think that's pretty much covers all of the name signs. Often, it was names that we refer to more often than not. People that kind of were in and out of the game, I didn't come up with a name sign because I just didn't have enough time, because I didn't have enough opportunity to just talk to them or get to know their personality and figure that out. But from those that were in the game from the beginning, yeah, we came up with name signs. That is so cool and fun. Going back to the room, I forgot to ask this. You guys were in that apartment the whole time. Did you have food? Did you get to tell them, hey, this is what we like to eat? Did they provide accordingly? Did you prepare your own meals? Walk us through that. And then I'm also wondering, how do you know when the cameras are off and you're like, all right, time to shower. Let's go. We can be nude and walk around the apartment now. Right. Well, every time we needed food, we basically just came up with a list and somebody did the shopping for us. They would tell us, hey, food's been delivered. We'd open the door, get our food, decide we wanted to cook based on that. For Paris and I, one thing we had to have every day in our apartment, what is it? Tell us. It had to be fully stocked Ben and Jerry's ice cream every day. That was a must, Paris is saying. What flavor? What was it? Chocolate cookie dough. Chocolate chip cookie dough, right? It was the same one. Yeah. I liked the same one. But Paris is saying, I think mine was almond milk, right? Didn't I have an almond? It was non-dairy, the non-dairy Ben and Jerry's. Right. And so at times, the regular one would run out. And so the two of us were eating the non-dairy. For the first time, I was like, this is disgusting. But then it kind of grew on me after a few bites. I'm like, all right, it's not that bad. see? Yeah, I'm like, non-dairy ice cream. I got used to the taste. I mean, I was there for a month. So literally, I just got used to it. It wasn't that bad. And quite honestly, now I can eat regular ice cream and non-dairy Ben and Jerry's at this point. All right, did you have something else? I think I missed that second question. Oh, privacy. Yeah, when did you know, how did you know when you could take a shower and all that? So they told us, hey, now's time. You can use the restroom, go shower. So yeah, and the cameras were off, mics were off as well. So that was pretty simple. Yeah, we definitely had privacy. That was ensured. I mean, you didn't see me on the toilet, right? You might have seen me. You did see me fart on the show, but you didn't see me physically on the toilet. What was that like, having cameras in your face all the time? I mean, what did that feel like? Did you just get used to it? Did you forget about the fact that they were even there? Or I think just because I got used to watching the show, I already knew what to expect. I was well prepared going in. I knew that cameras were going to be everywhere at almost all times in the apartment. And just watching other reality TV shows, you kind of know that going in. And I try not to look at the camera too. You try to be cognizant of that. Like, you're not talking to the camera. I'm talking to the TV monitor. And you got to be normal. You just got to be who you are and not talk to the camera and act for the camera. I wouldn't say it bothered me. Paris and I just had so much fun. We just kept dancing and singing, and we just had a great time. So I thought it was a moment of our spotlight. And just chatting. Oh, twerking too. Oh, definitely the twerking. You already know, girl. You already know. We know. Something that I was really impressed with, Raven, how you presented yourself on the show. What a great just demonstration for the deaf community, a great representative. I know Netflix pulled in Paris as well. And then in the end, I couldn't believe it, the other interpreters that came on the show. I mean, that was a relatively large group for the conversation, I'm assuming, to make sure that everybody was kind of logistically placed. But they were willing to provide all that accessibility that you needed. I was going to say, when cast agent sent me a message when I first applied, they reached out to me and they said, we're interested. We want to hear more. One thing that was said was that we're very interested in your vision. So please walk us through that. Tell us more. Tell us how we can make this vision of yours work. And in my application, I already explained that. I said how much I like the circle, but it's time also to have somebody that's disabled on the show. It's time. So I very explicitly said that. I said, we could bring in my own interpreter. We'll take care of that. You don't even have to hunt one down. I'll take care of that. I'll take care of that part. Just accept me. That's it. That's all you need to do. And so when we saw Paris during the interview process, when they saw him, because of course he's there with me by my side, having to show my personality. I mean, showing my personality, it's a big personality. I'm quite vibrant. And having Paris there during the interview process, being my voice from the beginning, and to see our synergy, we showed up matching, right? Our clothes were matching, so they could see right then and there that Paris was just such a great voice for me, really showing my personality to others. And so they saw my vision right off the bat. So then when the show got started or whatever, it was like, okay, you keep leading us. You keep telling us what we need to do. You guide us. And there was never, no, we're not able to do that. Oh, that sounds so difficult. There was no hemming and hawing about it. It was like, hey, this is what I need. All right, let's do it. Let's do it. They made it work. And then the circle, what was that? The final dinner, when we had that final dinner, even previous to that, before they even selected me on the show, I'd already looked at kind of setups to see, if I make it, what would that look like? And so I already had that in the forefront of my mind before I was even selected, what that would look like, where Paris would be sitting, and where he would prefer to sit, right? Not by my side, but directly across from me so he could see me, and then having other interpreters kind of surrounding the table. So we already have these conversations. And then in the apartment, trying to navigate where we would be seated, if we're sitting, if we're standing, if we're in the living room, kitchen, bathroom, bedrooms for that matter, where are we going to strategically place ourselves for the camera to catch everything? Because it's really important that the camera can see myself signing, right? To see Paris as well. And when Paris was done, right, I was like, okay, for sure, come with me. Let's introduce the interpreter agency, first choice agency, which is run by Tiffany Hall. So with that, with her working with us for the show, we selected 3 other Black and brown interpreters. Except Tiffany wasn't there, but all of them were present with me, working kind of behind the scenes with the producers in terms of editing. That's where their assistants came into the picture. If they were like, we need help with a certain word, because if you think about it, it's one person in the apartment, so they need help with the communication, helping with those conversations and those discussions. Paris and we would talk. Sometimes I'm sure you could see there's no voice. You can see the captioning because the interpreters that were present behind the scenes for the production. So they have production interpreters. That's how they had that access to our internal dialogue. And when Marvin came in, or Brian, you could already see, okay, where should Paris sit for this situation? I was on the couch. Marvin's going to be on the couch, so that you can see, right, so that he's not turning around looking at me. And so each time I got a visit, right, and then at the final table as well, I was able to describe to them ahead of time, okay, this is who Paris is, these are the other interpreters, this is the intent behind the other interpreters. So everybody was quite familiar before they even came in. I think that helped it be so seamless. And then representation was so important. You don't often see interpreters on the screen with a deaf individual. You'll see the deaf individual and you know they're looking at someone off the screen. You can imply that that's the interpreter, but I didn't want that. I wanted ASL on the screen the entire time. I wanted that visible. I wanted that accessible to show our culture, because you don't often see that. And so it was just such a great opportunity. And I'm very grateful to Netflix and The Circle for giving me this opportunity to be able to show this. And I didn't feel stressed about accommodations and access. I could just focus on the game, because I can only imagine how stressful it would be if I had to fight for access and accommodations on top of trying to play the game. That would have just compounded the difficulty, because I was really invested in the game. And at the end of the day, I was just so grateful for them willing to work with me in such a way. And if I could add, Netflix, the team there, they are incredibly proactive. They truly are. They definitely thought of access first. And I even remember, right, Raven, they had told us that they took like a deaf culture class. Yes. You're right. Exactly. Yeah, they did. Let's say, really? Yep, you're right, Paris. So before we even landed, it was like, hey, and then, oh my gosh, I remember one of the welfare team members came up to us and signed with us. Bear in mind, it was in British Sign Language. We were like, what? And right, and then there was another producer. It was a producer. It was like the first day. We literally just landed. We're standing there getting ready for them to kind of escort us in and look around, etc. There's this documentation with a Bitmoji, right? With a picture of Bitmoji of himself, but with ASL on this paper. So they were already well prepared. Hi, Raven, how are you? They essentially kind of had a script for themselves. It was really, really neat. You could just see they really invested in themselves, and there was a lot of intention behind everything that they did. You saw that. That was evident. Wow, Melissa's saying, I hope this sets the bar for all other reality TV shows. Yes, 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 exactly. Raven saying that's what's up. Exactly. Yeah, I mean, thinking about you don't have to mask anything, just giving everyone an opportunity. I think it's just fabulous. Right. And now also partnering with First Choice Interpreter Agency for, you know, anytime in the future, maybe next season, who knows, if another person applies and they happen to be deaf, they know what to do, right? They know what that looks like. They know how to reach out to the interpreter agency. They know they can follow up with me. I can suggest other interpreter agencies if ever necessary, right? They get that process. So I really hope that that momentum continues and it doesn't begin and end with me. I hope this is just the beginning. Yes, Melissa's saying. Now, something I'm dying to ask. What was it like meeting the other castmates when you finally got to meet them in person? I keep saying castmate, not castmates. I got to get rid of that terminology. People, players, whomever. When you got to meet them in person, what did that feel like? And I know many of us are dying to know about Marvin and Raven and what is going on. That I want the tea to be spilled. What is the juice? But what was your experience meeting everyone? What was it like meeting Sam? And what was it like meeting Chaz? Seeing them in person. And I know you guys just went to LA recently. You guys got to hang out and party with them. So that looked like a lot of fun. Tell us more. Tell us more. What was that like? Give us the scoop. It's like family. They're like family. It's interesting because with previous seasons of The Circle, I've seen how, each season and how people from season one, they're still friends with one another. They still hang out. Not only that, but you get invited to later seasons, right? The later seasons become friends with previous seasons. And so to observe that and see that, knowing that now it's my turn and I'm already excited about meeting those that were in the circle previous seasons. I think for the cast, meeting them for the first time, people think, how did you get so close when you only had these brief stints, like 2 seconds of conversations here and there? And it's like, no, the conversations were much longer than that. Obviously, you can't see everything on the show. I mean, they can't show you footage from an entire day. They're going to have to give you clips that are going to fit into 45-minute segments. They can't show you everything from beginning to end. You're just not going to access that. However, those conversations that we had were meaningful. And literally, you made the best out of it in terms of building relationships and trying to get somebody blocked or making sure that you put all of your energy into that one conversation counting, right? Making it count because you know that that one conversation can make or break this game for you, truly. So my connection with Chaz, with Sam, even with Marvin, I mean, really nothing about those connections were fake or fabricated or scripted for that matter. Everything was genuine. And what you saw was real. Even some of the players that were playing strategically, they still had connections in the game, and those connections were real. So then meeting all of them, first I was hoping, praying that Chaz and Sam were not catfish. Oh my gosh, I was praying on that one. Because, seeing their picture the entire game, and then I wanted to see them in person. I wanted to hug that person that I was seeing, right? I didn't want it to be, okay, this is how I knew you in terms of your picture. This is what I thought you looked like. And then all of a sudden, wait a minute, that's not who you are at all. I can only imagine, Melissa saying. So I was begging. I was praying, please be real, Chaz and Sammy, please be real. So then we get in there, and Chaz and Sam were the first two that I saw, and immediately I screamed. I didn't even notice I screamed, but I did. And then I saw Xanthi and Brett and Tasia, and I was just like, what? But Sam had to point because I was in such shock, and Sam's like pointing, referencing over to Xanthi and Brett. So I look over and I'm like, what? Whoa. I was so confused. I'm like, who on earth, what? I didn't even make the connection in that very moment. I didn't realize that I was the last person in. So I was so distracted by them that I hadn't even realized, oh, wait, where's Tamira? She's not, and where's Ani Jen? Like, I didn't even realize that they weren't there. I didn't process it till later. I'm like, oh, wait, oh, the two of you from the beginning, you guys never left. Wait a minute, you guys are Ani Jen? And then in the end, I really enjoyed it because, you know, I'm not playing the game anymore. I get to do away with that. There's no more strategy. We're just here. There's no questioning about, is this real or not real? What are the secrets? You know, we didn't know about the hacker and the super influencer. It was just, let's talk in that moment and let's hear everyone's story. So that moment was really nice. And I was really excited to see everybody in LA for the wrap-up party. That was, I liked that a lot because we literally hadn't seen each other in person since filming. 1 year, wow. Yeah, really almost 2 years. Wow. So yeah, I mean, this year will be 2 years, really, if you think about it. And I hadn't seen them since. But we all have been in touch since then, since filming. We have our own group chat where we literally talk every day. We check in with one another, make sure that we're all doing well still. I was so excited to see everyone. And then I was also excited to see the castmates, the one, you know, the captions that were added on there. Oh, rather, the castmates now are adding captions to their social media. So, you know, and I've shown them signs they're willing to learn now. And many of them are looking at me. They get it. They know how to communicate with a deaf person. They put an effort into communicating with me. So I think that experience is where the bond, you know, it started in the game, but it's continuing in real life. And they show that they really do care about me. And you see, like I said, about previous seasons as well. They've even started adding captions on their social media, and they're asking me how to do it. And they're like, hey, Reagan, is this the right way to do it? I'm learning ASL. They're reaching out to me, and it gives me goosebumps. It really does touch the heart. And, you know, those that have been in my life, you know, for some time, years and years, still don't know sign. They don't know ASL, and they're not putting in effort. And there's these people that I met through a game, through a TV screen, and instantaneously, you know, a month in of building a connection together, they're family members to me. It's a family. It really, I just have nothing but love for them. And then there's Marvin. You know, I know everyone's dying to know because every time I upload a video, every time I put something up there, every time I breathe, every time I take a breath, what's going on with Marvin? Taking your time. So I'll tell you here, Marvin and I are just friends. We're just friends, guys. We're just friends. Paris is saying. And yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I don't have any tea to spill. It's boring. We're just friends. We just talk and support each other. And yeah. I love the part about them signing and them adding captions to their videos because you're showing that human side to interpreting as Paris, right? And also these people, they've become family to you. That's it. Yeah. That's what's up. And, you know, with the players, as soon as we saw Paris, because Paris was also in the group chat with us, making comments and everything. And so everyone saw me and Paris as 100%, just accepted us into the family. Everyone was really excited about meeting him as well. Yeah. Everyone just accepted him as a player, honestly. And I love that too. And I have love for them as well. I've seen some postings or others sharing that Paris will please be on the next season of The Circle. Maybe you'll surprise us, yeah? If I had $1 every time somebody said that or sent me a message, I would be a millionaire. Raven saying you'd be a millionaire. Seriously. I know. I mean, really, just from my point of view, after interpreting for the circle and then watching, I was like, I'm a little funny. Do you see that? A little funny. Raven saying, I'm trying to be humble, trying to keep myself humble, a little humble. But yeah, season 6, or maybe Raven and I have our own show. Speak into it. Speak it. Say it. Yes, that's it. Yes, that's the real tea Paris is spilling. That is the real tea. We're going for bigger. We're going for better. 2023. BBE. Bad bitch energy. Bad bitch energy. BBE. You know, showing that one time in the show, I mean, honestly, Paris and I were very big on hashtags. So we were coming up with our own stuff. Hashtag this, hashtag that, hashtag bad bitch energy, hashtag BBE, hashtag BBE. Oh, I love it. Melissa saying every time you're like BBE, 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 BBE. Oh my gosh, you guys have just beautiful synergy, the friendship connection. It's obviously very familial vibes here. You can feel it just even talking to you guys, just seeing that connection between the two of you. And I think it's really important to show that interpreters, interpreting, it's not a one size fits all situation. It's based on the need, right? What are you interpreting for? It doesn't always look textbook, right? What you learn in class is not something you always have to strictly adhere to. You know, you learn in school, yeah, and it's beneficial. It's definitely important to bear that in mind. But then what is your style? How do you want this to look as you start to interpret? And it's going to look differently on everyone. And also you have to think of the cultural aspect as well. It's not just like, oh, let me just pluck in an interpreter, a warm body. There's so much more to it. And I feel like we've challenged others to go deeper, to think more profoundly when we're talking about this, to think about race, to think about culture. There's so much more to it when we're talking about having it 100% accessible, right? Somebody that knows nothing about, I don't know, let's say religion, maybe they're an atheist, right? And then to place them in a setting or something else, maybe a different religion that they're familiar with, and you're putting them in with a deaf person, are they really getting 100% access? No, they're not. It's really important that you want someone that knows about, I don't know, let's say social work, if we're talking about that. And then putting them in a conference that is about science, a scientifically based conference, and this person has a social work background. We're talking about different vocabulary. It's not, you're not going to have the same experience if you had an interpreter that knew what they were talking about, that was their wheelhouse. So it is so much deeper than just providing an interpreter for the sake of providing an interpreter. Authenticity behind the access is really important. Being 100% yourselves, period, right? And having an interpreter with real access, you can be 100% yourself. And that's what you had with Paris being on the circle. You got to be 100% you, because I trusted him. I trust him. It wasn't some rando interpreter in there in that situation, right? I can't hear. I have to trust that my interpreter is voicing for me accurately, right? I couldn't even imagine if there was some other interpreter and I'm playing the game and I'm signing, and okay, the deaf person may be able to understand, but the captioning may not fit what I'm saying, right? They may not be vocalizing with my personality. So being able to truly show my personality and give all that it's supposed to receive, right? And then not have that accessibility in terms of the interpreter. I wanted to be 100% myself, not worrying about, hey, did you catch it? Did you catch that? Did you use the word that I wanted to use? I mean, just thinking about like this sign, period. Oh, right, period. Saying period. Yeah, what the interpreter just did. Like, what does that mean? I didn't have to do that with Paris. I could just sign period, and Paris is going to say period. Give it what it's supposed to be given the first time around, not having to repeat myself. So I think that's very, very important. Thank you. you. Thank you to the two of you. I've thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. This was so much fun. I definitely look forward to seeing more of the two of you. Thank you. And Mara, thank you for interpreting. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Mara is my personal interpreter. So Paris is yours now. We're both equipped with our own interpreters. Yes. All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much, the three of you. Thank you for reaching out. Thank you for interviewing us. Thank you to the community for reaching out and asking that this interview happen. So thank you to all of you as well. All right. Have a beautiful evening. Take care. Bye. Kisses.